It has been, I think 7 months, seven, since the last episode. Because, I got real busy. And there was a lot going on. And I had a lot to do. A lot of stuff to stress out over. And it's still not, like, I moved. My kitchen's still not fully done. It's literally still not done. Everything works. It's all good. I'm fine. But my God, it has been a very busy half year for me. Um, and in that time, I opened my editing software twice total. So that's why we're here in freaking March. So sorry about that. It's kind of unavoidable. Um, however, however, uh, I did before I, because I knew I was gonna move, right? I knew I needed to take a break. Did not think it was gonna be this long a break, let me tell you. But I did leave a very good summary. So here's the plan. We're just gonna take right off where from where we left off. That's off twice in one sentence. We're just gonna pick up where we left off. There we go. And I'm gonna do my best to remember everything and remember all the voices. But if you notice I'm getting things wrong, let me know. If you notice that the voices are weird, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. They all sound the same anyway. Don't tell me that. But if I get details about the story wrong, feel free to let me know. Yeah. Should be good though with the summaries and all. So yeah, that's our plan. We dive right in. I won't waste your time with real life stuff, or we focus on the important things here, which is Rose Guns Days. Okay, so before we dive back in, here's a little reminder that this game, this series, comes with a pretty hefty content warning, which features violence, gun violence, racism, sexual content including mentions of assault, misogyny, alcohol abuse, mental health issues like trauma, depression, and other things, and also mentions and discussions of human trafficking. So if that's not your jam, totally okay. I will, if there's anything in here, I'm saying that wrong, if there's anything in this upcoming episode that I've not just mentioned, I will cut it in after the fact and you will be informed at this point. If that was just a bit of silence, there's nothing else that happens in this episode that you need to be aware of, and we're just good to go. So to get you caught back up, if you've actually been here for the big break of 2024/2025, here's a little bit of a refresher for you. Rose, leader of Primavera, the gang at this point, has been attempting to get soy sauce prices lowered in an attempt to preserve Japanese food culture and to make it more accessible for her fellow countrymen, for her people. Wang, who is a big guy in the leading a faction of the Golden Dragon Society, so not all of it, just like a chunk of it, he's had it out for Rose and Primavera for a while, and he's been pulling out all the stops and has actually managed to stop Rose's plans. So soy sauce prices back up, the deal is off, people are mad, people are upset, and Rose is disappointed. She really wanted this for her people, but Well, they kind of need, like, money more than they need cultural things at the moment, which kind of understandable, since they are still recovering from a war followed by a natural disaster. Wang is also putting further pressure on Rose and Primavera. Thinly veiled threats. He got Zell to try to assassinate Rose by kidnapping her father and Zell's father, and basically blackmailing her, just using her, forcing her to kill Rose. However, Zell has defected. Wang doesn't know about this yet, but Zell has basically decided, fuck you, Rose is a good person, I'm not doing this. Not even if it costs my dad's life. Rose is not content to let that just happen, of course, so the gang gets together and comes up with a plan to rescue Zell's dad. Meanwhile, they're also planning to strike back at Wang. We don't know the exact details of these plans. We will be informed while it happens, I suspect, so that we will be kept in suspense. So that's all I can tell you about these plans. Speaking of, the big, mysterious plan to strike against Wang is something that Rose and the bosses of Primavera discussed last episode, 6 months ago. What we do know about this plan is that it'll probably make the whole city hate everyone involved. Despite that, Rose is convinced this is the way to help our people. Everyone in Primavera is adored, worshipped right now. They're treated like celebrities, showered with appreciation, gifts, and they're all loving it because, they used to be part of this underground organization. And they're not used to it, but they love it. But still, the group unanimously decides to support Rose's plan. The Wandering Dogs, the 4 kids under Wayne's wing, including Zell, are getting ready to rescue Zell's father. Part of the plan has been to perform at various clubs, restaurants, as a band called the Wandering Cats. Very original name. During the last conversation that Wang has with Rose, Richard, and Meiju mentions the cats, and just as planned, Wang decides to invite them to perform at his restaurant, which is where Zell's father is imprisoned. So everything on that front, rolling along perfectly. Then, after a long absence, we get a brief scene with Butler, who has not been around much this season, sadly. But also not sadly, because he says really cringe shit that I then have to say out loud, but still. Rose says she has some bad news for him. I don't think if I recall correctly, we are not told what that bad news is, but he essentially says he'll still love her more than anyone, which is very sweet. The kids are then put to the test by Xiaolan, the young girl that follows Meiju around, and also Zell. The kids pass with flying colors, flawlessly performing their roles in a dark room. We still don't know exactly what those roles are or what their plan is. But everything is ready for the rescue operation. On the day of Wang's ultimatum, which was essentially, join me or I crush your organization, Rose and Richard are driven to the restaurant by Wayne. There they speak with Wang again, and throughout the conversation it becomes clear they're going to agree to the GDS's demands. And that is where we left off, and reading this back, I'm actually annoyed that this is where I had to quit reading for a while, because what a cliffhanger. least now we're going to find out what happens. Just gonna drink more coffee real quick. It's getting cold, we can't have that, can we? Okay, now I have to try to find my Rose voice, which has to come from very far away.
Will submit to the GDS's demands, handing over the special offers windows and disbanding the union of our countrymen.
Chapter 6, Reckless Operations. End. Wait, is this where this is where I saved, right? I'm not crazy, right? Imagine saving one sentence before the chapter ends. I think that's just like a repeat. The Wandering Dogs and Primavera. The fateful day for both groups had arrived. To Zell and the others, it was the day of a decisive battle, their first and last chance to rescue Zell's father. To Primavera, it was the day to decide whether or not they would swear obedience to Wang Yuanhong and the GDS. October 20, 1948. A Wednesday. The weather was oddly hot and humid for the season. There were signs that it would drizzle a bit in the evening, but in the end, it didn't. For some strange reason, in the quiet right before typhoons and storms approach, one feels an unusual exaltation, perhaps caused by changes in atmospheric pressure. Right, typhoons get mentioned and all I can think of is Umineko. Very distracting. This day was filled with such an unusual atmosphere. Chapter 7. Best Path to the Bright Future. (11:04 p.m.) Let's just roll with it. You don't say 4:11 p.m., right? That would be weird. I suddenly forgot how clocks work. Anyway, a single taxi arrived at the back door of Wang's castle, the luxury restaurant Millennium. Is that a different restaurant than the one we've been seeing so far? Interesting. I assumed that it would be the place that they've been going to up to this point, where, you know, he has all the clocks in the cabinets. Because that's what the plan was focused on? Huh. Maybe there's just two restaurants. We'll find out, if I keep reading. Immediately, several grim-faced men gathered around, telling them not to park here. New song? New song? New background song.
Hello. Thank you very much for inviting us here today. We are the Wandering Cats, and we received an invitation from Mr. Wang.
My, how rude of us. We've been waiting for you, and the owner has been too. Allow us to carry in your luggage. Hey, bring it in. I'm gonna do some adjusting. This song is really loud compared to the other ones for some reason. I can see it peaking on the... Anyway.
Hey, you don't have to be so rough. Those are instruments in there. Don't open it. I see. So they're checking to see if there's weapons hidden in there. Well, I guess they would.
What are you people doing? Don't touch Zell with your filthy hands.
There's no helping it. It's an executive's restaurant, after all.
This song is so loud, you guys. It's like double the volume of anything else, I don't know why. The grim-faced men carried out a businesslike body check of the four, without seeming to show any lewd motives. They also opened all the instrument cases, carefully making sure that only instruments were inside.
Come on, don't touch them. Those aren't for amateurs to touch.
Their instruments were finally released. Nina growled like a dog who had its toy taken away. Her behavior was so typical and so relaxed in a way that Zell and the others giggled. Please forgive us for being rough. There are no problems with your luggage. Okay, everyone. The owner of this restaurant, Wang Yuanhong, eagerly desires to greet you. This way, please. Oh, it is the same restaurant. That was just the front, which we haven't seen before. Do I have to put the music back up again? I'm gonna have to, aren't I? 18 past 4 p.m. The wandering dogs entered the Millennium. They were guided to the owner's room, which was near the 5th floor treasure vault. They knew it well from the plans of the building, but this was the first time they'd seen it from the inside. After all, building plans are flat. The real thing is three-dimensional. They couldn't help but be overwhelmed at the impact of the vast, 5-story open area. For people who called themselves alley rats, it must have looked like a scene from another world. However, they didn't let that distract them from the moment. With razor-sharp eyes, like those of a wild animal cautiously tracking its prey from the shadows, they accurately pinned down the locations of their respective spots.
Charles, that's got to be it. The design's really similar to that safe. No doubt about it. Nina, can you see your spot? It's that pillar to the side of the stage. I know. It's better positioned than I'd imagined. Oliver, you understand, right?
Yeah. Looks like I'm the luckiest. Oliver had to gain control of the area in front of the fifth floor treasure vault. He'd memorized the route and the positions of the guards on the way there. But the fact that he wouldn't see the place directly until the plane started was the one thing he'd worried about. But, fortunately, that worry had been erased. Because they'd been fortunate enough to be allowed a meeting with one who was in the owner's room on the 5th floor. Zell and the others unconsciously slowed their pace as they gazed in wonder at the restaurant's decorations, or at least they pretended to. They were trying to give Oliver as much time as possible to check their surroundings. Oliver understood too. He made each step firmly, as though etching his footprints into the ground. Normally, they would have been taken up by elevator. However, Zell said she wanted to observe the beautiful interior, and they were given permission.
So, think it'll work?
It's a good carpet. Nice and fluffy.
Yep. Perfect for hiding your footsteps. Will it get in the way of your footwork?
Not at all. Not unless the guard's wearing a suit of armor. But it's like Meiju's info said. They've casually placed lookouts on all the floors. Of course, the cautious one had guards stationed on every floor. However, there was a minimal number of them, and the positions weren't ideally suited for being lookouts. After all, this was a restaurant aimed at executives. Having grim-faced men staring down at you from above wouldn't improve your meal. For that reason, there were very few guards stationed in places where the guests wouldn't notice them. According to Meiju's info, the practical security of the restaurant was borne almost entirely by people on the first floor in the backyard. The lookouts on the upper floors were just there as a precaution, and strictly ordered not to disturb the executive atmosphere by letting the guests see them. That may have been why the people working security on the second floor and up, apparently thought of this as an easy job they could relax at. In other words, their guards were down, relatively speaking. Oliver confirmed that with his own eyes. The room that formed the entrance of the 5th floor treasure vault came into view. After seeing that, Charles and Nina voiced their awe at the scene stretched out below them, leaning over the rail and jumping about. Their guides laughed at the antics of these excited poor people. During this time, Zell and Oliver casually checked the entrance to the vault. There were 3 vaults, and their entrances were connected by this small room. The door on the left. Behind that door was where Zell's father was being confined. And there was always one guard in front of that door. Even by following the optimum route, making the best use of all blind spots, this one person would have to be defeated head-on. Speaks in Chinese. Their eyes met immediately, and the guard motioned for them to stay away. Surely, Wang thought this was the most important room in this building. Being left in charge of guarding such a room must leave a guard pretty tense. At the very least, there wasn't any trace of slack about him.
It'll be tough.
And he looks capable too. If I don't finish him off with a single strike, we're screwed.
Still, you'll definitely be able to make the first move.
No doubt there. The time between when he saw us and when he reacted was more than enough for a first strike. This was a restaurant after all, at least to public appearances. A place where third parties, i.e. guests, came and went. There had to be some chance of Wang happily showing his favorite guests around his restaurant, only to have one get lost and wander near the treasure vault. After all, this was an executive establishment. All of the guests had influence and strong connections to the GDS or the Chinese military. The guards couldn't start yelling at someone just because they seemed suspicious. Even when the guard had met Oliver's gaze just now, he had hesitated for an instant, wondering if the suspicious person might be the son of a noble guest.
We can make it, can't we?
Yeah, we can do it.
Just wait, Father, Zell whispered inside her heart.
Though they were separated by a single, troublesome door, Zella had finally gotten very close to her father. Her father is behind that door. When they passed the treasure vaults, the door to the owner's room came into view. Its gorgeous, Chinese-like build made it clear that this was the room of the owner of this castle. Owner, the wandering cats have arrived. And then, finally, Zell and the others faced Wang. The owner's room itself had a high-class feel, but it was surprisingly simple and practical. People who knew him might be surprised that such an audacious lover of luxury and flair would install such a simple room in his castle town. However, those who knew him better could understand. When he was joking around and enjoying himself with flair, he was a completely different person than when he was being the merchant who coolly read the market and amassed great wealth through many business dealings. The sudden way he switched between on and off was the source of Wang's fearsomeness and mysteriousness. I forgot Mage's voice a little bit. Oh no. That one's historically been hard to remember for me, even though I like doing it. Because he's a fancy boy. I don't know. We'll you know. I'll give it a shot. Jesus Christ. What an, They really... Did Wayne come up with all these names, is my question. They really need to stop letting him name things. They can't allow him to get away with it. They cannot. Banned from naming Judy. Put him in jail. Put him in naming jail. Honored brother, allow me to introduce you. This is the songstress of the Wandering Cats, Miss Cat Rose. Terrible name.
Mr. Wang, it is truly an honor to be invited here today.
I read about you responding to the interview in fluent Chinese, but that really is incredible. Bravo! But, you know, I can speak in Japanese like this. Incredible, ain't it? I can even say hello. Sorry, I'm trying to decipher this. So rusty. Something karimasu. Anyway. Yeah, he speaks in Japanese. Damn, that's incredibly smooth Japanese.
I'm definitely learning Chinese if we get back alive. Can't get by in this world if you only speak Japanese.
However, Charles didn't make a fuss, but silently gazed at Wang's every movement. The key in question's in that pocket. I'll steal that key he always keeps on his body. If he finds out, it's all over. In the end, will there even be a chance to steal it? Slackening in his focus?
What do you think? I don't know. If this were a crowd and I didn't care whose wallet I stole, then I'd normally remove this guy from the list of targets.
Apparently, Charles Charles's instincts had already told him that Wang would be a tough person to deal with. It seems Xiaolan's warnings were right after all. A clumsy pickpocket attempt would be spotted in an instant. The paper said your singing voice was the voice of an angel. I'm really looking forward to hearing that today.
You honor me, Mr. Wang. I'll try to sing with all my heart and soul.
Ah, yes. Your name was Cat Rose, wasn't it? What does it mean? What? Is it like in English? I'm gonna assume it's in English, the name. Because otherwise it works more French.
We're orphans who grew up in the alleys. We think of us...
The animal motifs crack me up every time.
We think of ourselves as wild cats. Cats, be they strays or pets, never forget their pride and grace.
Okay, so no, it's not in English, okay. Back and forth. I see. I get the cat part. Then why Rose? He knew the wandering cats were Japanese. Their songstress was calling herself Cat Rose. Oh no, it isn't English. Wang was probably wondering if she took that name out of respect for Madame Rose of Primavera.
I wanted to be like a cat that never loses its grace, even if it's wild. And I wanted to be like a rose, which never forgets its thorns, even after blossoming lovely flowers that make the heart melt. That's why I decided to call myself Cat Rose.
I guess Wayne was not involved. I'm sorry for the earlier allegations. He's not forgiven though. He knows what he did. Ah, okay. So it's got nothing to do with Madame Rose of Primavera.
I know Madame Rose's name. It's humbling to have the same name, even if it's a coincidence.
It's okay, don't mind me. I was just asking on a whim, so forget about it. Well, the truth is that, today, I'm welcoming a very, very important guest. And that guest is actually Madame Rose of Primavera.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
She was lying through her teeth, but it was half true. After all, she hadn't learned until this morning that the day they'd planned to rescue her father would be the day of the meeting between Madame Rose and Wang. While it did make them feel somewhat tense, the guest list didn't matter as far as the Wandering Dogs' plan was concerned. All that remained was an uneasy feeling that any mistakes they made might get Madame Rose involved as well. For her father's sake, not only was she getting her comrades involved, but now even Madame Rose. However, she wasn't allowed to get nervous. A tightrope walk 100 meters above the ground had only become a tightrope walk 200 meters above the ground. No problem. As she ignored Wang's pointless talking, Zell clenched her fists. The guests with reservations for dinner tonight would start arriving at 6 p.m. For the next 3 hours or so, the Wandering Cats would be in charge of running the stage. Madame Rose was supposed to arrive at the restaurant at 6:45 p.m. She would probably be welcomed in right when the performance was getting fired up, during the very best part. But Zell was a little happy. Madame Rose had done a lot to help with Zell's singing lessons, and now Zell had a chance to directly show off her results. Honored brother, it's about time for them to start getting ready. Oh, that's right. You probably have to prepare your instruments and all that. Ah, yes. Please look forward to using our grand piano. We get it tuned every month, and we have a piano storage room maintained at the perfect humidity. Please guide the wandering cats to the waiting room. Very well, sir. Everyone, I look forward to a wonderful instrumental and singing performance from you. When they bowed and turned around, Wang suddenly spoke up sharply. Everyone reflexively jumped and stopped. Oh god, I'm so tense. What the fuck? You, there. No, no. The short kid. Yes, you. Charles was the one he'd called to a halt. With an expression like a pigeon hit by a pea shooter, Charles slowly turned around. Did you drop something? There. Isn't that something you dropped? Dropped something? Huh? You mean this, Honor Brother? Yes, yes, that. Meiju crouched down and picked up the thing that had fallen at Charles's feet. It was a tiny ball of lint, hardly worth commenting on. Such a pointless speck of trash that it could easily be explained as a bunch of lint or something that had been gathered up in a pocket. It's just trash. We'll make sure this place is thoroughly cleaned. Oh, so it's just trash. Sorry about that. I thought it'd be sad if the boy dropped something important. I see, so it was just trash. Sorry to surprise you. My eyes are starting to go bad. Thanks. Charles bowed and left the room. However, after being guided to the elevator, Charles's face was stiff with tension. So, it's even worse than Shaolin said. Yeah. He's seriously bad news. The lint was something Charles had dropped on purpose. Charles had noticed that he was pretty dangerous at first glance, so he had dropped the lint to confirm that his instincts were right. Wang had found it on the spot. Caution, observation, instincts, or possibly a sixth sense. With an animal's nose that wasn't quite any of these things, he had noticed something out of place about the lint right away. Even if I did swipe the key from him, he'd notice it was gone right away, without even a few seconds of hesitation. He'd understand that it had been stolen immediately, without any doubts that it might be his imagination or a mistake. So, he's the worst and ultimate enemy of pickpockets. Can you really steal the key from a monster like that? That's what we went through all that special training for. We're already right in the middle of enemy territory. We've got to do it. I believe in you, Charles. I'll get it done. I'm worried. I'm concerned. This is a stupid time to realize that you can't just say like 4:11 p.m. or 5:13 p.m. as the case may be. Let's just move on. 5:13 p.m. The performers started getting ready on the stage in the first floor of the restaurant. Nope, in the first floor restaurant. As they checked their instruments and the sound, they calmed themselves down. For people as young as they were, this time spent holding their breaths in enemy territory was probably the most tense of all. At this point in time, the wandering dogs didn't have guns or even need a slingshot. That implies that they get guns later, though. They couldn't bring them in because of the body check. It was Xiaolan's job to get them those. Oh. Oh, she's bringing the guns. "5:48 p.m. Xiaolan arrives at the guest waiting room where the wandering dogs are. She hands over 3 guns and a slingshot. I thought this would be like a stealth operation, not a shooty bang operation.
Thanks, Xiaolan. Meiju-sama is the one you should be thanking.
At first, it looked as though Xiaolan, a member of the GDS, had just carried the weapons in because she didn't need to take the body check, but that wasn't all there was to it. Wang forced outsiders to undergo a thorough body check, even if they were members of the GDS. In other words, Xiaolan had come here via a method that avoided the body check.
Xiaolan, your nimbleness is your greatest weapon, isn't it? I'm small, after all.
With her natural nimbleness, Xiaolan could scramble up anything and reach anywhere, like a monkey. That was the only survival technique she'd gained after living as an alley rat. Pickpocketing, purse snatching, burglary. In traffic, out of reach of the law, she would surely be caught and beaten to death without trial for any crime. By mastering the art of escaping to places that adults could never reach, this small, nimble girl had built an athletic ability that surpassed those of normal people. To her, this complicated and mysterious concrete jungle was practically a jungle gym, where she could move about in 3 dimensions however she pleased. Even to get here, she hadn't used the first floor entrance, but had climbed to the roof from the outer wall, sliding through a narrow duct. It was a skill no one but she could imitate.
You all understand, right? We only take these guns out at the last moment.
They all nodded wordlessly. This was a trump card, not supposed to be used. However, they didn't know what would happen. It was better to have more options.
Okay, I'm going on to my next job.
Thank you so much, Xiaolan. Without your help, this plan would have been impossible.
You can thank me once you've succeeded. Then I'll take this many mooncakes.
Xiaolan used both hands to indicate something the size of a mountain. Then, she slipped back into the duct and disappeared. That's brilliant.
Xiaolan was an alley rat, not an alley cat. She was an alley rat like us, right?
That's what I've heard. I think she's been through a lot. It's strange. Even though we're pulling off a big job at a GDS hideout, we're being helped by a Chinese girl.
I don't think it matters. Yeah. For all we know, she might have been one of our comrades.
True. I can't read today. She fished through different trash cans than we did. That might be the only difference. That and there's like 2 competing factions in the GDS and she's with one of them, but okay. I mean, good point that they both grew up in the same way and suffered similar hardships.
Thanks, everyone. I'm so glad I met you with the wild dogs. I'll be a wandering dog all my life, no matter what, even if I die. Without a signal from any of them, they held their hands out and stacked them on top of each other. The clock was almost pointing to 6. So, the curtain finally opens on the stage for the Wandering Cats. And it also opens up on the once-in-a-lifetime job for the Wandering Dogs. "6:31 p.m. At the front entrance to the Millennium, Madame Rose's car, driven by Wayne, arrived. Wang had invited Richard and Cyrus too, but Madame Rose had answered that she alone would be present. In fact, she'd only come with one person, Wayne, a driver/guard. While he certainly was an excellent guard, when compared to Wang's castle, it was no different than coming unarmed. When he heard about this, Wang felt respect for her. He swore to himself that he'd give this courageous Japanese woman a splendid welcome, regardless of what her answer was. And Wang had received some information. Information that Madame Rose was beginning to make preparations with the higher-ups in the occupying forces regarding the handover of the special offers windows. To be honest, he'd been truly surprised that Madame Rose had made such a courageous decision. After all, he had expected not her, but Richard to make this decision after her death. However, it may not be bad if the heroine died from disease while expressing her friendship towards the GDS. If he could quickly deify Madame Rose after her death, then the Japanese, with their weakness for Namiwabushi tales of loyalty and humanity, would probably respect her final wishes. That could be used to draw a decent picture. In that case, he must appreciate her final decision and watch over her in a lovely way during her last moments. He had to make this evening a fitting one for her final night. Such a pleasure to see you, Madame Rose. Welcome to my Millennium tonight. I thank you for your invitation, Mr. Wang. I hope this turns out to be a special night. Of course, it will be special. I would be delighted if you could appreciate it to the fullest. Good evening, Madame Rose. Welcome to the Millennium. Good evening, Eiju-san. We'll be in your care. So, come in, madam. This way. I promise that this limited time you've graced us with will shine more beautifully than diamonds. Don't mind me, just a cart rolling by in the hallway. Loudly. So just being quiet until it stops. So I don't have to bother you with it. Now that's a lady of the evening for you, thought Wang amazedly. Even though she must know how important this night would be. Not only was she not tense, but she was able to smile so cheerfully. An impressive woman. Apparently, the title Madam wasn't just for show. Took him a while to realize that, huh? Incredible. that you would actually come in with just the two of you. Is that not just a bit too incautious?
I forgot Wayne's voice. Hold up. It's been a while.
We needed 7 people for Caleb. 2's enough for you.
Damn.
You are as amazing as always, I see.
What the hell was that? I thought it was screens for a second, and I thought that, I don't know, we teleport, that we time travel or something. But no, I think it's just panels. 6:33 p.m. Madame Rose enters the Millennium. She was welcomed by Wang's favorite, a gorgeous collection of clocks. Each clock was splendidly ornamented, but very unique, with no 2 clocks of the same design. And yet, wait. I pointed this out last time, but this one looks familiar. Is it the same? I don't know if it's the same, I don't remember. It's been a while since I saw the clock in Umineko, but it's got the same vibe for sure.
And yet, all the clocks showed the exact same time. One couldn't help but feel the strangeness of time and the variety of beauty. You see, when I was young, I treasured time even more than I do now. Time certainly is precious. For women too, the fact that the time they remain beautiful is limited never leaves their mind.
Damn, Rose, what the hell?
True. Youth is limited. There is only a set amount of time during which you can make your dreams come true, and that time is decreasing at this very moment. It's fair to call this an obsession. An obsession. That's why I was extremely short-tempered when I was young. When something didn't go my way, I didn't hesitate at all. I tried to resolve it by going the shortest distance in the shortest time. Even my honored brother, a man of character, has a whole stack of short-tempered stories from his younger days. Almost like Wayne-san.
Jesus Christ.
You...
I was gonna say something really mean. I decided not to. To prove that I'm the better person, I'm not gonna sink to the depths that Wayne does.
Shut up, Chinese person.
Rose just should have left him at home.
It's not always the case that traveling the shortest distance leads to resolution in the shortest amount of time. It's not always the case.
So pretend I said it that way the first time.
Yes, that's exactly right. After many years, I've finally come to understand that. That's why we stand where we stand today. We stand here today because I freely poured my precious time into the resolution of our problem. I believe I've poured in everything I have to make sure this night would come. So, there's no more. Of course. I understand, Mr. Lung. Primavera and the GDS. Our countries may be different, but our desire to protect our countrymen is the same. We ought not to fight. We must put an end to this feud right away.
You're a woman whose wisdom far exceeds my expectations. I believe I must be ashamed for not realizing that sooner.
We're both residents of the criminal underworld. We follow our own moral codes, and I believe doing so is the justice we both believe in.
Yes. You have it exactly right, Madame Rose. We shouldn't fight. There should be mutual non-interference based on friendship and respect for each other. That would be best.
Friendship and respect and awe, yes?
That's right. After all, respect is something you feel only after understanding how scary the other party can be.
Honored brother, could this all wait until after we have had our drinks?
Oh, you're right. Come, Madame Rose, come on in.
The main hall was filled with beautiful singing and musical instruments. However, it would be hard to call these talents refined to perfection. It certainly was splendid. Because of their youth, you could sense some parts that could still use polishing. However, to the executives who were thoroughly acquainted with first-class music and had nearly had their fill with it, this youthfulness was refreshing. Each time a song ended, the guests awarded it with an applause that was soft, but warm and fully felt. Madame Rose was guided into the main hall during one such round of applause. Madame and the others are here. This is for that major meeting that could end in war if it goes bad.
So, if we screw up, it might even start a feud between Primavera and the GDS.
We won't screw up. We're perfect. We'll definitely succeed, beautifully so. Then, we'll perfectly complete all our performances and leave this restaurant showered in applause.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do it.
Wonder if Aniki Wayne knows about our plan. He probably does. That's why this is a great chance to show Wayne-san what we can do. Wayne-san, watch and see what we can do.
Do you know the Wandering Cats, Wayne-san?
No, I don't. I was just admiring the singing.
Of course, this was a farce. Wayne, Meiju, and even Rose knew who they were, and about the plan. Only one didn't know. He seemed to be happy to have invited Rose into his castle again. Scrupulously prepared plans sometimes turn their targets into the main characters of a comedy. Because Rose and the others had arrived a little early, there were still 10 minutes before the clocks would point to 7. Normally, they would have had a toast right away, but because of the device on Wang's treasured drink cabinet, they had to wait for a short while. Rose and the others quietly took their seats and enjoyed the performance on the stage. The next song would apparently be a solo by Zell. With the spotlight shining down on her, she slowly came down off the stage. Then, displaying her angelic singing voice, she slowly walked amongst the guest seating. To the guests, the stage was a sacred realm, and if the songstress was an angel, it was heaven, a place sealed off from this world. And now, the angel had come down from such a place and was drifting among them. Her long, pretty hair was even more beautiful when it sparkled under the spotlight. She truly was an angel on this earth. An angel so close, you could reach her if you stretched out your hand. However, the executives didn't stretch out their hands. If a worldly person touched an angel, she would be dirtied. Even though they were close enough to touch, they couldn't. As they were wrapped in a fragility that was like a personification of snow, Zell looked more and more divine to them, heightening their drunkenness to a peak. Drunk at 7 p.m.? Yeesh. It's a little early. Maybe it's a more metaphorical drunkenness. This was a performance by Zell alone, so the other three went back to the waiting room to take a break and get ready. If the four of them spent all their time on stage, their endurance would wear out. So, they were leaving people out now and then, so they could take breaks in turn. This wasn't at all odd for performances on a stage such as this one. At that time, Oliver was already heading towards the 5th floor treasure vault, along the predetermined route. The clocks would chime 7 very soon now. The keyhole, and time. They needed all three of those together. The elevator always had a bellboy/guard standing in front of it, so he couldn't use that. By taking this route at this time, he was supposed to be able to avoid bumping into any of the lookouts. Even so, that wasn't certain. The lookouts could create all sorts of exceptions on a whim. At times like this, walking boldly was the best way to avoid suspicion. To walk as though it was perfectly normal for you to be here right now. However, he still walked very quietly, hiding his footsteps. Oliver thought. He had probably been so short-tempered because he was easily frightened. Because he was easily frightened, he couldn't bear the fear in front of him for even a second. That's why he had surrendered his heart to anger. Being quick to pick fights isn't cool. Yeah, that's something a cowardly fool does. Cowards tense up and stiffen their muscles. In other words, they can't draw out their full potential. There's no medicine to cure idiocy, but cowardice is different. The medicine is confidence. There was a lookout in a place where there wasn't supposed to be one. He wasn't supposed to be here. He should have been behind that pillar further back. He'd probably been lured forward unconsciously by Zell's singing. His gaze appeared fixed on the stage below. Oliver didn't want to get into a fight in a place like this. He had more than enough confidence in a one-hit knockout. Even so, the odds of that working weren't 100%. This wasn't the place to test his luck. In that case, he'd have to quietly pass behind the man's back. At a glance, the man seemed fixated on Zell below him. However, that didn't mean his heart had been fully absorbed. If he noticed the faintest thing out of place, his sharpness as a guard would return in an instant. Something out of place. Yes, footsteps. If he felt footsteps that seemed scared or suspicious, he'd notice something off and turn around immediately. However, if they were truly casual, normal-sounding footsteps, It was possible that he'd unconsciously decide they belonged to an ally, ignore them. If Oliver thought about it, weren't stray alley cats an extreme example of this? When people pass by without taking notice of those cats, they remain calm, without showing the slightest interest. However, if anyone notices the cat and changes how they walk in the slightest, the cat will notice at once and run away. That sort of pissed me off, so when I saw a stray cat, I'd intentionally yell at it, kick a can at it. If it was going to hate me and run away anyway, I'd rather start off by chasing it first. Jesus, Oliver, you good? He's not. We established this. He's getting better. How dumb am I? Yeah. He's working on it. Yes. Right now, I'm a wandering dog, but I'm not a dog. I'm a wandering cat. Wayne has infected this whole group of children, I swear to God. He can't keep getting away with it. He needs to be stopped. Hide your breathing like a cat, and smoothly walk away like a cat. The guard says something in Chinese. The man muttered something, but he was clearly talking to himself. He was probably just impressed with Zell's singing. Zell's beautiful voice rang out. It was, without a doubt, the best she'd ever sung until now. Because of that, the man was rooted in place. His back was even more unguarded than usual. Says something in Chinese again. The man let out an appreciative sigh at the beautiful singing voice, shrugged. He glanced left and right to see if anyone had noticed him slacking off. It's okay. There's no one there. Reluctantly, he returned to his position. By that time, Oliver was already going up the stairs, heading towards the 5th floor. Good. The 5th floor probably had more guards in it when Meng was in the owner's room. However, one was downstairs right now. There should be one lookout. Just the lookout in front of the treasure vault. When I go around that corner, I'll be there. He clenched his fists. They were covered in sweat. He used the breathing techniques he'd learned from Meiju to ready himself. Unlike a street fight, there was no need for reckless courage. He had to strike the vital points, cold-bloodedly and accurately as a reptile. He stopped breathing. A sensation spread out widely inside his eyes. The world expanded, and he felt pressure on his eyeballs. Let's go, Oliver. If you really want to repay the debt you owe Zell, then at least succeed in this first step. Oh God, here it goes. My score. I'm so rusty. His flexibly extended leg beautifully honed in on the man's head. You could see in slow motion as the man's face and expression were twisted and he spat bubbles. At that time, applause rang through the main hall. The man slumped over and showed no signs of getting up. It was as though the applause was in honor of this splendid one-move victory. I did it. I did it, damn it! If he had been truly cold-blooded, he should probably have finished off the unconscious man, silencing him forever. However, Meiju had asked them to avoid taking the lives of his countrymen as much as possible. Even if he hadn't, it wasn't in Oliver's character to finish off a man who was now powerless. Sorry about that. Sit tight for a while. He turned the man over and bound his hands behind him with the black market US Army duct tape he'd brought with him. Of course, he also wrapped it around the man's mouth. With that, the entrance to the treasure room was secured. It was perfect. Oliver had completed his first job. So now, the door is ours. Now we just need the key and time. They had to steal the key from the cautious one and unlock the door during the short time the clocks were chiming. Why do I feel like this was the easiest part of the plan so far? At that moment, a noisy, complicated metallic chorus rang out throughout the restaurant. It was the chime for 7 p.m. It was only possible to open this door during that chiming. However, he still didn't have the key. It was still in Wang's pocket. Before the chiming stopped, they had to get the key and put it into the keyhole of the door Oliver had secured. It was absolutely impossible. There was no way they could accomplish it. However, that impossibility was about to become possible. The key was in Wang's pocket. His hand went inside and was pulling the key out this very moment. Why? So that he could let Rose choose a drink from his prized treasure box drink cabinet with a special device in it. That key was pushed into the keyhole. Then, slowly, it was opened. Come, Madam Rose. What shall we try today? There really are so many kinds. It's hard to choose. With the key still in the keyhole, the doors were opened wide. Zell walked among the seats, communicating with the guests. They knew she was a Japanese songstress, but they were surprised and impressed by her fluent Chinese. Zell's and Wang's eyes met for an instant. Wang's eyes were unconsciously fixed on this girl, who had a charm that would have been unthinkable for the girl he had greeted in the owner's room. Since ancient times, songs were thought to possess a strange power. Surely, that magical power also dwelled within the songstresses who sang those songs. Because she had reached that level, she was able to draw the gazes of all the people in this restaurant. That mysterious attraction took hold of even Wang's eyes and didn't let go. Rose picked up a bottle and was inspecting it. Rose's body formed a barrier, and the key left in the keyhole of the still open door was in a blind spot. In that instant, Charles didn't miss that Wang's concentration had been stolen by Zell. A complex and mysterious metallic chorus of chimes continued. At this moment, everyone's minds were distracted. This was the perfect moment. Let's go, Mina. Are you ready? When he turned around,
Charles jumped. From her position in the shadows of the pillar, Nina shook her head as though saying, "Not yet." What was it? He figured it out at once. A fickle waiter had been overwhelmed by Zel's charm and was standing still in front of the pillar. He was too close to Nina. She couldn't do her job like this. That was the only place where they couldn't afford for people to be. Charles and Nina were already hiding their presence and melting into the shadows. If they showed themselves to move the bellboy out of the way, they would draw someone's eyes. This perfect chance would be wasted. Should they wait for the waiter to leave? They couldn't. The chorus of chiming clocks would last for a minute at most. Once the chiming stopped, they wouldn't have any more chances. They would never get another chance where one removed the key from his pocket, carelessly left it in the keyhole, and let a guest into that position. Looking down from the 5th floor, Oliver picked up on the tension as well. Damn it! What's wrong with that waiter? Go away!
Go on. Go away, blockhead.
No matter how much she yelled inside her head, it wouldn't reach him. The waiter just stood in that most inconvenient spot, holding a tray.
Zel, what should we do?
Zel had also noticed. No one could do anything about the waiter standing still in an unexpected, fatal position. If he had at least been a guest, Zel could have interacted with him somehow, maybe by calling out. However, this was a waiter. It would be unnatural for the songstress to call out to a person who wasn't a guest. They were short-handed. They were missing one more move. Time. Their precious time and opportunities were running out. At that moment, a jarring metallic sound rang out. It was the sound of a knife and fork falling to the floor. Wayne's elbow had bumped them and knocked them off. It wouldn't do to make a guest pick them up. The waiter noticed immediately and dashed forward. With that, the obstacle disappeared. Hey, I have to say I love the snark between Major and Wayne. It's good. Oh. Are you not good at using a knife and fork, Wayne said.
Shut up. Then why don't you eat with chopsticks like normal Chinese people?
There was no doubt. Wayne had lent a helping hand. He had rejected Zel and said she was no longer one of his comrades, but he had saved her. Wayne's feelings were felt by everyone, and in that moment, all obstacles had vanished.
Let's go. Wandering dogs. Charles, please do it. Here I go.
Charles walked casually with a violin in his hand. However, he continued to aim for the key, which was still in the keyhole of the drink cabinet's door. Madame Rose also knew of the plan and intentionally stalled for time, blocking the view with her body. It took her a while to choose a bottle, so one got bored and ogled Zel's legs. This moment, with the key left carelessly in the keyhole, was their only chance. Oh shit, oh shit. I just remembered that the outcome is not affected by what I do here. So even if I fuck up, they're still gonna be fine.
depending on the plot, of course. But for a second there, I thought, if I fail this, the plan's gonna go to hell. And it'll be my fault. Anyway. One hand was blocked by the violin. The other hand was holding the bow. With a truly casual and subtle movement, Charles smoothly pulled the key from the keyhole. Then, without turning around, he threw it behind him. It flew accurately towards the shadow of the pillar, where Nina was waiting.
Nina, it's all you. Leave it to me. Let's do it.
Nina took the key and put it in her slingshot. Then, she aimed up into the dimly lit open area above her. The gold key flew like a shooting star up through the dark night and into the hands of Oliver, who was leaning out of the overhanging corridor on the 5th floor. The chorus of clocks was still continuing. However, it would end soon. The clocks with shorter chimes were finishing one after another.
Oliver, we're counting on you.
Perfect. Leave the rest to me. Oliver dashed up to the door of the treasure vault. The chimes were ending. He had no time. He put the key into the hole and turned. He clearly felt the door unlocking. There was no doubt. Immediately after, he heard a round of applause for the chorus of clocks coming from the main hall. We did it. We made it in time. He opened the door and jammed his jacket into the gap. The door had an auto lock. If he did this, there was nothing to worry about. Right now, before attempting a rescue, he had to return the key to its original position. Oliver leaned out from the overhanging corridor again, threw the key towards Nina. The heavy key was being thrown down from 5 stories up. Catching it would be fairly dangerous. However, this was one thing that they'd already mastered. Just another team technique the three had created to survive during the days they lived in the alleys.
Yeah, nice.
It's up to you now. After seeing that Nina had safely caught it, Oliver dashed back to the door of the treasure vault. Nina took the key she'd caught, casually approached Charles and handed it over. Charles put it back into the drink cabinet's keyhole. He turned it back to the perfect angle, without shaking anything or making any noise. During that time, Oliver finally entered the room where Zell's father was being held. Though it was called a treasure vault, it was, practically speaking, a jail cell. Except, given that it had originally been a treasure vault, it was a bit more comfortable than your average jail cell. A man who was apparently Zell's father was sitting at a study desk, reading a book. He appeared to be confused, having noticed that Oliver didn't seem to be a member of the GDS. Who on earth are you? Are you Saijo Hotaru's father? Yes, that's why I'm being held here. Let's confirm that you're really him. What is your wife's name? Yukino. Oliver asked several questions that only family could know, which he talked with Zell about earlier. The father gave correct answers to all of them. There was no doubt. This was Saijo Yukishi himself.
Who in the world are you?
My name is Oliver. I'm one of your daughter's comrades. As Oliver answered, he dragged the bound guard inside. The door had an auto-lock. If he stowed the guard in here, then even if the man woke up, he probably wouldn't be able to do anything for a while. When the father saw this, he understood right away. You escaped from here? What about Hotaru? Where's my daughter? She's close. This was her final chance to save you. Hotaru, even though I told you to abandon me and run, are you still unable to stop clinging to your parents? Though they'd managed to escape from the treasure vault, this was the enemy's den. There was no guarantee they'd be safe. How could they escape from this building? Even if they could, they were right in the middle of City 22, a massive Chinatown. Zell's father didn't know what sort of strategy had taken them this far. It seemed far too reckless to him. Follow me. I'll guide you to a place you can escape from. But at that moment, he heard an angelic voice. Your daughter is singing. That song will distract the enemies and give us a chance to save you. That's not all. The planning and preparing for this plan was all carried out by your daughter alone. Until he'd been told, he hadn't known it was his daughter's voice. That voice sounded like an adult who had tasted the bitter and the sweet of this world. He wanted his daughter to abandon him and live free on her own. Any parent with children would think the same thing. His daughter had refused. Because she was still clinging to her parents. No. This was a decision Zell had made from the bottom of her soul. She would bet her life and rescue her father. Not as a girl clinging to parents, but as a single human being. Hotaru. Right now, his beloved daughter was bathed in a spotlight and singing in the middle of enemy territory. That courage, those guts, mature singing voice, were no longer those of a child. Ah, the singing of a young child is splendid. You can cultivate technique with age, but you can't cultivate youth.
That's right. I think the young should be the main characters in all ages.
What? Oh, you mean like time ages and not... That confused me, sorry. The young should be the main characters in all ages. Okay. Yes, yes. Have you decided on a drink to toast with?
It took a while to choose among all these options, but that was pretty fun in itself. Then let's use this drink for our toast.
Oh, a good selection. Quite refined. I'd expect no less from a leader of ladies of the evening. You know a lot about drinks. Wang handed the bottle to the waiter and closed the door to the drink cabinet. The gold key was still stuck into the keyhole on the door, as though it had been there the whole time. Wang took it, wrapped it carefully in a silk cloth, and put it back in his pocket. Even Wang couldn't have noticed that the key had opened one more door without his knowing it. First, we'll get just you outside. What about the rest of you?
We were invited here as guests. So it'll get troublesome if we don't leave as guests. Is there anything I can help with? As a man, I can't bear to escape before someone as young as you. What I'd appreciate most is for you to escape first without talking. I see. Zell's father couldn't say anything more. At any rate, Oliver had to let the father escape from here. Once that was accomplished, the plan would be more than half a success. What's the other half? They went down to the 3rd floor. The door to the tool room was normally locked, but Xiaolun had come by earlier, locked it. When they went inside, they saw Xiaolun by the window, whose curtain was fluttering in the wind. She had climbed up here from the outside, broken the window, and unlocked it from the inside for them. Sorry to keep you waiting, Xiaolun. Take care of Zell's father. Xiaolun nodded, tied the rope she'd brought with her to the window frame, and let it hang down outside. We have friends below. They'll keep you hidden. I'm grateful. I'll never forget what you've done for me. No, don't worry about it. We're comrades and family. I met you for the first time today, but if you're Zell's father, then it's like we're related. If it'll make Zell smile, we'll bet our lives as often as it takes. That's what makes us the Wandering Dogs. I can only imagine that Zell's dad is so confused right now. I know I would be. Please, take care of my daughter. Of course. Xiaolun says something in Chinese. Oh, Japanese actually. Excuse me. The father replies. I don't know what they're saying. The father leaned out the window and went down the rope. Below, Meiju's subordinates were supposed to be waiting so that they could hide him in a safe place. He went swiftly down the rope and landed in a back alley. Meiju's subordinates immediately dashed forward, put a large coat over him, and guided him to a car. After watching them go, Xiaolun cut the hanging rope with a knife and disposed of it. I'll let you handle the rest. I'm going back. Xiaolun nodded. Oliver had to hurry back to the stage. After all, they would be doing a performance that required a piano soon. He went down the prearranged route and arrived safely in the waiting room.
Welcome back. How'd it go?
Oliver grinned and gave her a thumbs up. Charles and Nina latched onto him, hiding their voices while laughing together, sharing the joy. Yay! I'm not gonna lie, I was tense that whole time. I genuinely kept expecting something to go really, really wrong. Then, the four gathered on the stage once again. Even without words, Zell could tell that the planets succeeded. Zell could tell that the planet succeeded by their expressions. Thank you, Oliver. Your father got a chance to hear you sing, Zell. Huh. Now that she thought about it, All her short meetings with her father before now had been sad things, chances to console each other for painful memories. She had never let him hear her sing. She thought that singing would just bring more tears. However, by singing together with all the wandering dogs, she thought of it as fun for the first time. She felt as though those fun feelings and emotions had been communicated, at least a little. Zell could feel her eyes tear up. Apparently, Wayne also understood what their relieved faces signified. He finally relaxed his shoulders and smiled, as though honoring their efforts. And the night went on. Dessert finished at Rose's table, and an after-meal coffee began. Conversations had died down, and a comfortable silence was approaching, which was really impressive given the circumstances. At Wang's signal, a waiter brought a folder forward. Folders of blackened leather like that were usually hold-to-hold sales slips. Wang took it, opened it up, and held a piece of paper that was inside it out to Rose. Shall we get down to business?
Yes, let's.
I've been waiting so long, I feel like I'm gonna yawn. Jesus Christ. Meiji was pulling no punches today. It is almost bedtime for kids, isn't it?
What did you say?
This is a summary of our position in writing. If you sign it, then the friendship between the GDS and Primavera will become eternal.
And if I don't?
Then you will lose our protection. Did they have it to begin with? I don't think they did. I mean, this is, your usual protection racket. That's the whole point, right? It's basically blackmail. Anyway.
What do you mean, protection?
We could kill you, but we let you go. See how affectionate that is? It would be possible to avoid such sluggish methods and resolve this with total war. We could steal everything away from you. But we don't. Why do you think that is?
Because war is futile for both sides. Even if you do take everything away from us.
Then the victor would also be impoverished. That is why Wang does not want to start a war, even though he could win. Exactly. So why is it that war hasn't disappeared from this world? The answer is simple. Because both sides claim they can win and don't back down. They need to fight in order to prove their claims. However, only one side wins. That means the loser was guilty of a huge misunderstanding. That's why I use a method other than war, to demonstrate our overwhelming difference in power and correct that misunderstanding. Can you think of a more peaceful form of negotiation, Madame Rose? Excuse me.
It's true. You displayed your power in a way that didn't take any lives. I think the wave of economic warfare that began with soy sauce distribution was a truly gentlemanly act. However, this is still war. Even though there were no shells flying, it was war.
Yeah, people died. Like, multiple people died and lost their livelihoods and all that, so. Wait. Did they? I'm mixing it up. No, that was the other guy. Never mind. I didn't say anything. I remember now. Definitely did not forget the plot. That never happened. Anyway. Indeed. The War of the New Age, where people don't die. Then, the waiters carried in 2 phones. They set one each in front of one and rose. It was as though they were laying out the main dish for the night. Will you sign these papers or not? That will determine how we both use these phones. We might happily confirm each other's friendship, in which case I will tell the Council of Elders that negotiations were completed successfully. Or I might tell them to release the economic attack against City 23 we've been saving, to be carried out by the merchants among our countrymen.
Then, what about my phone?
You might tell Richard right away that you formed eternal bonds of friendship with the GDS. Or you might tell him that the sale will continue forever, allowing your Japanese countrymen to buy things for incredibly cheap prices going forward. They were props to force Rose to make a decision on the spot. Would she sign or not? Would she surrender to the GDS or not? It was a threat, since whenever she showed what her decision was, the corresponding actions would be taken immediately. The waiter handed Rose an expensive fountain pen. The handover of the special offers windows, the dissolution of the Japanese labor union. It was a humiliating document, which simply required that she accept the GDS's demands. That was what she was being asked to sign. Quietly, Rose read the document again. One's position was written in both Japanese and Chinese. There was no trace of her hesitating over whether or not to sign it. She seemed to be carefully inspecting the vital document to make absolutely sure there were no unexpected mistakes. I understand that signing this will be humiliating to you. There may be people in Primavera who don't accept it. If you're looking for a good way to convince them, then I have a proposal.
A proposal?
I'll tell you if you sign it. If you sign it, then we'll be friends. If we're friends, then we won't be able to embarrass each other. It will be my responsibility to work hard and see to it that your honor is protected. At that moment, the final performance of the Wandering Cats ended, and a big applause rang out. Join with me, Madame Rose. With me and with little May. Oh, and with Wayne Kun too, of course. If we join hands, it won't be impossible to obtain the eastern half of Tokyo, and eventually, all of it. Please be forward-thinking. Oh, pardon me for a moment. Oh, okay. Thanks for the save point. Oh god, I'm out of pages. looking at the time, I think this is where I'm gonna call it. Which sucks because I want to know what happens next, but hey, I can just record more of this tomorrow. And I probably will. So you can expect regular updates from now on. Because I'm back. And I'm back, I don't know. No, yeah, I'm back in the swing of things, you know. Maybe try to turn it into a routine, so I just record regularly, get the new episodes out regularly, and finish Rose Guns Days this year. That's the goal. The year's still kind of only just started, so there's plenty of time. But I'm gonna try to do this like short-term-ish. No promises. No promises, but I'll do my best. Okay. How do I'm just gonna double save just in case. I always do that for some reason. Okay. Alright, well, that means that I'll be back next week. For you. For me, it's gonna be tomorrow. But yes, back next week, most likely, with more Rose Guns Days. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the long break. It was a lot. But we're back, and I ran out of things to say. If you're not interested in the big long break, or you're watching this like way after the fact, just go to the next video, I guess. I assume that's out by now. Or just, you know, thanks for watching. See you next time. If you do care, just for some context on what's been happening, I bought an apartment. Exciting, great. It was basically a concrete box. I had to do just so much DIY. Like, everything needed replacing. It took a while. Kitchen's still not done. It's almost done. I still need to get like more furniture. I need to clean up, organize. There's still so much to do. But yeah, that took a lot of energy and time and focus and recovery after. And then more DIY once I was recovered from the DIY. This has kind of all been dragging on. No time or energy for anything creative. Everything's been on hold the whole time. I opened my like drawing software maybe twice in that time. In like half a year, you know. It's been a lot. But all for good reasons, good things. And I have a nice comfy house now. It's apartment. I call it my house. It's the same difference. You get what I mean. And even my recording like setup is a little better now. And hopefully also sounds a little, to me it sounds a little nicer, so, because the acoustics here are better. Less echoey than in my last shithole apartment. I can say that now, it's fine. I don't live there anymore. It was a trash pile. Yeah. So that's what has been causing the holdup. And also is the reason why I can more reliably start recording now, because most of the work has been done, and it's mostly like the fun stuff left, like painting cabinets and buying furniture, like going to thrift stores, the fun stuff, the decoration stuff, more so than the, oh, I need like a bathroom, or I need to be able to like cook dinner, or, you know, we need to knock off all the walls off, the tiles off the wall, and then put new ones in, yeah. All Heavy work stuff, that's all gone. Done. Over. It was fun, though, so could be worse. I didn't hate it. It just took a lot. It's a lot. And it was just me and my dad, and some help from other family members, so. But mostly my dad did a lot of the work. Lucky for me, let's be real here. Yeah. So that's the deal. If you're following the Baldur's Gate videos, those are a lot. Those take a lot more in terms of time and effort when it comes to editing. Rosegun's Days is like, I record, I throw it in the editor, I cut off some parts at the beginning and the end. You know, it's like 10 minutes. The Baldur's Gate videos I have to rewatch fully, and then like cut parts out, edit them, I make animations for some of them. That takes time, so it might be a while before I have I'm trying to build up a backlog. It's not going well. It's not going well. It costs so much time. But I'm doing my best, so I will eventually finish that, but I don't know, maybe in 2026? Who knows? Who knows? I'm trying to get it over and done with so I can like move on to other projects. Because I do have other things in the plans, in the works, you know. I have been, as of this weekend, working on Iggy 2.0 for, you know, so I can use him to record more stuff with, and he's almost done-ish. He still needs some adjustments and some more art, but technically I could already use him for stuff, so that's, you know, good progress. It's just it doesn't matter. But yeah, those are the plans. We finish what we started, and then we move on to other things. But again, Baldur's Gate might take a long time because it's very, very time consuming. And yeah. Every episode is like 2 hours when it comes out, but the recordings are longer than that usually. So just the watching it, that's already 2 hours out of my day. And then, you know, you gotta pause, rewind, cut, edit, paste, copy, blah, you know. And I also have a full-time job, so yeah. Not seeing that being finished anytime soon. I am working on it though. So, and maybe one day I'll do a short again, who knows. Those also take a while. Less so than the long-form stuff actually, but you know. Alright, I think that's all the stuff I had to talk about in terms of, I guess, house cleaning, like, just like a little update on what's been going on. That should be it. And, yeah, now I can officially actually end it for realsies this time. I am a little out of practice when it comes to, like, ending, and I was already very, very bad at that, right? You know this. I cannot for the life of me end a video, I just keep rambling. Welcome to the ramble, this is it. So let's see if maybe this time I can actually do it within like the next 5 minutes. I got this. Because I ran out of things to ramble about. Okay. So now you know what the deal is. Which means that I'll see you next time. Which should be a week from now. If all goes well. Yeah, I have no reason not to have it be one. I can literally just hold this episode hostage until the next one's ready. I think I'll do that for my own sanity. So I'll see you next week on the usual time, Thursday, or whenever you watch this video, of course, because it's gonna premiere and then be on YouTube as usual. Nothing, nothing different there. Gonna stick to what the plan always was. And I think we might be, well, I think I said that like 3 episodes ago, but we might be nearing the end of season 3. And then we start up season 4. And I also have to start looking into the expanded, basically the version that I'm playing is like a collection of all 4 seasons with some expanded stuff, like some expanded story bits. And I need to check if the translation patch that I got includes those or not, and if not, where to get that. But that's future talk. We don't need to worry about that now. But we are closing in on season 4, I think. I don't know. I don't even know which episode this is right now. That's how out of it I am, but thankfully I keep track of all that somewhere. But yeah, back in the saddle, ready to go. And I did manage to continue rambling for another 3 minutes. We cannot end episodes. It's a problem. Someone stop me. Someone needs to like physically drag me away from the freaking microphone. And that person's gonna have to be me. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience with the enormous gap between episodes. I hope that the summary at the beginning was enough to kind of get you back into the swing of things. There was just a recap of, you know, the plan, not the plan, the agreement between Wong and Rose, which hopefully also helped put everything, you know, helped clear everything up if you had any questions. I forgot what their agreement was, so for me it was great, it was useful. So yeah. I'm looking forward to the next one. I hope you are too. Thank you again for watching, and have a good last 6 months. We gotta catch up. Have a good day, week, year, future 6 months. Have a good. Thanks again. Bye-bye.